Hello, my friends, and welcome to Hyperfocus January. I am your host, Carrie Clark, and this month I am hyperfocusing on all things neurodiversity. So today I'm going to go over the 4 things that all neurodiverse children and teens need. So this is a new season of the Speech and Language Kids podcast. If you're new to me, welcome. I am Carrie Clark, a speech language pathologist, also a mom of neurodivergent children, and I am neurodivergent myself. So I am well immersed in all things neurodiversity, which is why this topic is so near and dear to my heart. So as I was thinking about what to do for this season, this 2026 year of not only our business here at Speech and Language Kids, but also the podcast, I really wanted to focus in on the children and teens that I am most passionate about, and that is our children who are neurodiverse. So if this is a new term to you, basically this just means any person whose brain works a little bit differently than the norm. So the ones that we typically think of with this is ADHD and autism, but there are a lot of other ways that our brains can be different and built differently. So this also includes our children with communication differences or delays, or learning differences or delays. We also include in this group children with mental health challenges such as anxiety and depression. We put our fluency kids in here, our kids with stuttering. This also includes children with Down syndrome or other developmental disorders or conditions. There's so many different groups that all fall into this group of neurodiverse children or teens. And really the key here is that they are not necessarily learning the same way as other kids. They're not necessarily thinking the same way as other kids. And so this tends to lead to some challenges, not only for them to get through their education, but also to just get through daily life and living. Now, obviously, there's no one way to be neurodiverse. The whole point of this is that everyone's different. So this can look very different in very different kids. But this, the whole idea of this podcast episode, but also our year coming up in general, is that I want to show you ways that you can very easily and quickly put systems and supports in place that help our neurodiverse children, clients, students, and allows you to support them in different ways based on what they need, but in a way that doesn't add a whole bunch to your plate. This podcast is for speech language pathologists, speech language pathology assistants, educators, parents, caregivers, anyone who is involved in the care of a child who is neurodiverse. So I'm going to give you real practical strategies that you can implement right away that don't take a lot of your time. And I'm going to show you our entire system that we're building out to support these students as well. So we've got a lot going on this year. I like to go big. And so I have a lot of really big plans for this year, and I'm really hoping that they will all come to fruition. But we're starting out with Hyperfocus January. So I'm going to be releasing a shorter, hopefully, episode of the podcast every day, ? This is where my brain wants to go right now because, like I said, I'm neurodivergent too, and I love to hyperfocus. We'll see how long my hyperfocus lasts. But I'm going to try to put out a shorter podcast every day for the month of January, all about different topics on neurodiversity. Then we're building up to a big Executive Functioning Summit this spring, hopefully in April, where I will be building a complete executive functioning curriculum to go into our current existing curriculums. And we're going to be, that will culminate with a big summit where we'll have guest speakers and learn a whole lot about executive functioning all at once. And then hopefully all of this is leading to a very cool neurodiversity conference this fall. So those are my plans right now. Like I said, I tend to have attention and executive functioning challenges as well. So we'll see where this goes. Sometimes I go off on side tangents, but that's the plan for now. So I'm going to jump in today. Today's episode is going to be kind of framing this for you, framing what our plan is for the whole year, but also just this concept of how do we help neurodiverse children and teens in a way that is supportive to them, but also easy on us as the adults that are implementing these supports. So we're going to talk today about the 4 things that all neurodiverse children and teens need. So this is going to help us see where we have great supports in place and where maybe some supports could be added to help these children thrive. So I have created a very cool scorecard for you guys that you can use to follow along with what we're talking about today. So this is going to be most effective if you pause the episode now and go do the scorecard, because what it's going to do is it's going to ask you 16 questions about a child or teen that you are working with. So it can be one of your clients, it can be your own child, one of your students. But you're going to answer these questions, and it's going to give you a rating for these 4 areas that we're going to talk about today and how they're doing in each of those areas and where they could use more supports. And then that scorecard is also going to trigger a custom PDF to be sent to your email that will give you specific recommendations for how to support them better in those areas that they're lacking in. So this is all free. It's a free tool I've set up. You can go to slkscorecard.com, SLK as in speech language kids, but it's slkscorecard.com. If you go to that website, you can fill out the scorecard. You'll get an instant score as soon as you finish the questions, and then the PDF will be sent to you. So definitely go check that out first, and then follow along with the rest of this podcast while you are looking at your own scorecard to see how that client is doing. This is going to be a great tool to help you figure out where to start in therapy or with your home supports or in the classroom. Okay. Let's just jump right in. I think I did it. Yes. Great. Okay. So let's talk about these 4 pillars. Okay. So we have 4 pillars that we are going to make sure that are in place before or for each child with neurodiversities, right? So we have children with different diagnoses, children without diagnoses, children of different ages, different behaviors, different patterns. We see so much diversity in this group of children that it does feel overwhelming. I can tell you as a mom that I have felt overwhelmed many times trying to figure out what it is my children need. But from a professional standpoint, from being a speech language pathologist working with these kids, from seeing my own children, my nieces and nephews, my other friends' kids, from seeing all of these kids with all these different behaviors and patterns and needs and wants, there are these 4 core needs that I see showing up again and again. And I will say this is also for adults as well. I think these skills are also really key there, but I focus on children. So we're going to focus on children and teens here. But this could be extrapolated to adults as well, including myself. But these are the 4 things that we see that every child and teen with neurodiversity needs. Okay. So the 4 things are, you ready for this? Regulation and safety, being able to feel safe and regulated, communication, executive functioning, and the ability to follow their passions, follow their strengths, and leverage those strengths to do amazing things. Okay, so those are my 4 things, and we're going to go into each of those here today. But I want you to think here for just a moment about this bigger picture of what's not included in that 4. Okay, well, obviously some basic needs like food, water, and air, right? I didn't include those because everybody needs those, right? That's not specific to neurodivergent children or teens. And I will say that these 4 things are also probably things that other children and teens need too, but they're the things that I feel are the biggest challenges for neurodivergent individuals to be able to achieve. The other thing that is not included here is an academic or educational kind of section. And here's why. Yes, those children and teens also need education and academics. But if we can get these 4 core pillars in place, the regulation, the communication, the executive functioning, and the leaning on their strengths, if we can get those 4 things in place, then they can benefit from those educational activities that other children are already benefiting from, right? So these are the foundations we need for them to be able to thrive, to be able to be successful in academics or the job world or anywhere else that they may be in life, okay? So these are our guiding pillars for our therapy decisions. This helps us decide where to provide supports at home and in the classroom. These are the foundations of what we want to build for these students. So if you take that scorecard, it's going to rank the child in each of those 4 areas in terms of how much support or how well the supports that are currently in place are matching their needs and how well they're able to use those different 4 pillars. All right, so we're going to go ahead and walk through each one of those. The first one we're going to talk about is regulation. Okay, so the key here is that a dysregulated nervous system can't access learning. You can't access your daily life because when you are dysregulated, your brain has stopped processing and working the way we need it to work in order to function. All right, so I'm not going to go into too much depth because we could definitely tackle this in a later episode. But basically, we all have a nervous system, and our nervous system needs certain things to be calm and regulated and feel safe. And when we don't feel safe, when we don't feel calm, when we don't feel regulated, then we start to feel out of control. We start to feel big feelings like fear and anxiety and anger and frustration. And then in our children, we start to see behaviors, and that is meltdowns, and we see shutdowns, and we see all of these things that look like bad behavior. I'm putting that in air quotes. You can't see me. It looks like bad behavior, but it's really just communication. They are communicating to us that their nervous system is not regulated. They don't feel safe. They don't feel calm. They don't feel in control. And this is how they're able to express that. Especially when we're working with a child with communication challenges, this can be huge. These behaviors may be all we have to go on to figure out that they're not feeling regulated. Okay? So our approach here at Speech and Language Kids is that there are 3 levels of regulation that we can support. The first level is co-regulation. So if you think about a baby, when they are little, they cannot calm themselves down by themselves. If they are hungry or they have a poopy diaper or whatever their need is, they can't just lay there and say, okay, I know this is uncomfortable, but I can power through this. I just have to do some deep breathing and then I'll be okay and I can work through it, right? They can't do that. They need an adult to pick them up, to meet their need, to cuddle with them, to rock them, to soothe them. Okay, that is co-regulation. It is another person helping you to regulate in whatever way that looks like. We as adults co-regulate as well. When you have a bad day, you call your friend on the phone to complain. When you're stressed out, you want to hug your kids, hug your loved one. These are all ways that we co-regulate as well. And so children and teens are kind of in this in-between. They're not entirely in co-regulation, or at least not all of them, but they're also not necessarily able to self-regulate, and at least not consistently. So we start with co-regulation of helping them calm down by modifying their environment, finding things that are causing triggers or stressing them out or too overwhelming for them to handle, and we modify those things. And then we regulate with them. We hold them, we hug them, we rock them, we help them find strategies that help them feel safe and calm and regulate their nervous system, okay? Once we can get to that point where we can reliably and consistently regulate them with our support and input, then we can move on to the second level of regulation support, which is self-regulation. So now we're going to teach them, okay, now that I know how to calm you down, now I'm going to teach you to calm you down. And what strategies can you use to feel safe and calm and regulated? And we go through a whole exploratory process of figuring that out. Once they can self-regulate, then level 3 of our regulation support is teaching them proactive regulation, meaning, okay, think about the upcoming situation. Which of these things are going to stress you out? Which ones are going to be triggers for you? Which ones are going to make you feel unsafe? And then how could we use some strategies either before, during, or after to bring us back down to calm and to help you feel regulated? And then along with that is this piece of self-advocacy where we teach them how to say, hey, I need a break. I'm going to have to go walk in the hall. I am going to need noise-canceling headphones for this activity because I know it's going to be loud, right? How do we teach them to speak up for what they want and to resolve problems either before they happen, ideally, or during, Or how do we use our words after something to say, hey, I really didn't like that. Next time, could we do it like this? Okay, so those are the 3 different levels of regulation support. Now, like I said, I'm trying to keep this short and I'm already at 15 minutes. Goodness, I like to talk. So I'm not going to go any more into that, but we do have our SLK curriculum that supports this. We have a curriculum for emotional regulation and self-advocacy. It goes through 3 levels, and using those 3 levels to support regulation at different ability levels and different nervous system levels and all of that. We are also going to be adding to that this year as we go through our push for neurodiversity and our neurodiversity affirming materials. But right now we do have access to those inside the curriculum. You can go to hub.speechandlanguagekids.com and you'll find all of the resources there. But let's move on to the second pillar, which is communication. So obviously this is a big one for me since I am a speech language pathologist. This is the section that we have already built out so many resources. We have full year-long goal packets for communication inside our curriculum where you just click a button and it will download the entire year's worth of materials for you on whatever goal you're working on. Communication, this is awesome. Communication is not just one single issue, but it's made up of a whole bunch of tiny, discrete skills. So our approach focuses on identifying the specific communication skills that they are missing and then systematically teaching those. And this is what we've been doing for years and years here at Speech and Language Kids, and we're really good at it now, I think, to be, so modest. But we focus in on, okay, what are the specific areas that we're struggling with? And the areas we cover are speech, language, social communication, functional communication, fluency and stuttering, and voice and resonance. And then we choose an area, and within that area, we choose specific skills that we can teach them. We systematically teach and support those skills before moving on to new skills. Okay, it's a very structured approach. This is what speech therapy is. This is what our curriculum does beautifully. What we recommend is the following. So for speech language pathologists, SLPAs, any of our speech and language therapists, whatever you want to call yourselves, we suggest that you pick 3 goals or 3 specific skills to work on each year. Those could be 3 skills or goals all from the same area. So you can have 3 language skills that you're working on. Or if you have a child who is working on more than one area, you could say, okay, we have a speech goal and we have a language goal and we have a fluency goal. And so we recommend that you pick 3 and then you just download those goal packets from our website for the goal. And that gives you everything you need to teach those 3 goals for an entire school year or an entire IEP year, an entire calendar year, whatever you're doing. So SLPs, we recommend you pick 3 goals. Teachers or educators, we recommend that you choose a skill of the month to teach and support. And so you're already doing your full curriculum. You're already teaching whatever it is you're teaching to these students. You're just choosing one skill that you're going to introduce and focus on and support as it comes up throughout the rest of your lessons. And our SLK curriculum does that beautifully as well. You can grab the materials to be able to teach that specific skill. Parents and caregivers, we recommend you pick one skill at a time to target. You've got enough going on in your lives and your child doesn't need a billion things to focus on at once because it won't happen, right? So for parents, we recommend you pick one skill at a time to work on. And again, you're just going to introduce it and then point it out as it comes up, provide the supports that are built into our program. So that's what we recommend for communication. We have screening checklists, we have goal packets, we have skill progressions, everything's laid out, all the therapy materials, all of that's packed into our goal packets for each of the goals that we cover. And you can find those over at hub.speechandlanguagekids as well. That's where that is located. So that's pillar 2 is communication. Pillar 3 then is executive functioning. So executive functioning is our ability to manage our daily tasks, to stay organized, and to follow through on things. It's basically our ability to get things done. So this includes the areas of attention, memory, focus, planning and preparation, organization, staying organized, initiating tasks and following through with tasks, our time management skills, and then also our flexibility, cognitive flexibility and adaptability, meaning how well we are able to adapt to change, cope with things when they don't go as planned. All of that goes into executive functioning. And this is a piece that I think is the most challenging for neurodivergent folks. And that includes also our gifted kids. I didn't mention them earlier, but children who are in the gifted category, meaning that their IQ is above a certain point. Those kids often struggle with these executive functioning tasks, which looks like the scattered genius, right? Not that all kids that are gifted are in that genius category, but that's the idea of, oh, well, they're really smart, but they're so scattered, right? That's this piece. The scattered piece is the executive functioning. And so often when our brains are built a little differently, we're maybe not using those executive functioning skills the way that other children and teens are. So this is another piece that we recommend. Instead of trying to teach executive functioning all at once, you're going to pick specific skills and you're going to focus on those and teach those and support those, just like we were talking about with the communication. So inside our curriculum, we already have a course on executive functioning and some visual aids, and some of our therapy goal packets do align with executive functioning, such as our regulation packet. But this is a piece that I really want to focus on this year, and I'm super excited to do it because I have some really cool ideas for how to make this more manageable and more achievable for our students and our clients. So this year we will be building out an entire executive functioning set of curriculums, and that will hopefully all culminate with that executive functioning summit in April. But in the meantime, I would love to know what you guys are looking for in this, what you would love to see in an executive functioning curriculum, because I know from talking to you guys that this is what you need. So please, please, please tell me what you need. You can join us inside the curriculum. There's a discussion board in there, so you can hop in there and let us know what you want, or you can send me a direct email at carrie@speechandlanguagekids.com and just tell me, what would you love to see in an executive functioning curriculum? What are the challenges that you're seeing right now on the ground floor? And how can I help support you in supporting those students? Okay. So that's the first three. We had regulation, communication, and executive functioning. So our last pillar is leveraging strengths. So supporting our neurodivergent, I almost said friends because that's what I like to call them all. They're all my friends. When supporting neurodivergent individuals, it's not just about addressing areas of difficulty, but we also need to recognize and intentionally use their strengths. Every individual has strengths and preferences and ways of engaging with the world that can serve as really powerful tools for learning, for communication, for regulation, for growth, for whatever they want to do in life and whatever they want to be, right? And so I think it is especially important when we're looking at these neurodivergent individuals that we are focusing on giving them opportunities to pursue their passions and leverage their strengths, because they're going to need that if they don't fit into our standard education system that was built for neurotypical children, or the standard office workplace that was built for neurotypical adults, right? They're going to need their strengths, and they do have strengths. So again, this is many other podcast episodes that we could jump into, but here are some suggestions for starting on this path. So the first thing you want to do is look for those strengths, even when they're subtle. I know if you have a child who's not speaking yet and is really struggling just to get through the day, then it may be hard to see what are those strengths. But we can look for different aspects that we can lean on to say, okay, this might be how your brain works. This might be something that works for you. So look for activities that they return to repeatedly, ways they move or organize or explore their environment, their preferences, if they seem to have strong visual thinking or memory or attention to detail or a deep focus of a subject or a topic that they love, right? So look for those strengths even when they're subtle. We also want to make space for exploration without pressure. So I think sometimes we tend to jump straight to, oh, they're interested in robots? Great, I'll sign them up in this robotics class. Okay, well, not everything has to be a class, right? Not everything has to be a structured activity, especially if they're not ready for that. So Be willing to allow these children and these teens to explore something without requiring certain performance or structure, or turning it into a lesson too quickly. Allow them to explore without pressure if that's where they are. Now, obviously, if they are expressing interest in having opportunities to go deeper, absolutely jump on that as well. That could look in a lot of different ways as well. Maybe it's just providing them materials like books or tools to learn about and explore those interests. Maybe it's giving them classes or online courses or hands-on experiences or mentorship. Or maybe it's just involving them in group activities with other children and teens who are interested in that same topic or have similar strengths. So that can definitely be a great place to expand to as they get older. And then we also want to consider, how do we use their strengths, but how do we also teach them this balance of strengths versus also getting all the other things done that we need to get done in our lives, right? For example, I love to hyperfocus. That is a really big one for me. You'll see that all throughout my business where I go really hard on one thing and then I switch gears and do something else. But we also need to teach them how to turn the hyperfocus back off when they have to function in the real world, which is something that I struggle with. So we can use this time of exploring their strengths to also teach them how to balance and how to manage transitions and how to use their strengths to support those things that they have to do, maybe that they're less interested in. Okay, well, you don't want to do your homework, but what if we made it a challenge? What if we made it Minecraft themed? What could we do that would use something you're good at to make this harder thing easier? So that's a really great way to explore that as well. Okay, I didn't do it, guys. I wanted to 15-20 minutes and I'm up at 26, but that's okay. We got through the 4 pillars. Like I said, we will try to keep these episodes a little shorter from here on out, but I had a lot to explain to you today. But in addition to supporting all my neurodiverse clients and students and children, I'm also here to support your neurodiversities as well. Just like all of those children are different, all of you, my listeners, are different as well. So I have lots of different ways for you to grow with me this year. I hope that you're excited about this topic. I hope that you are excited to learn how we can very easily and simply put these systems in place to support these kids. So here's some ideas for you on how you can join me on this journey. The podcast is the first way. We're going to keep putting podcasts out as long as my attention lasts. So I'll have some more of these for you where we'll talk about these different topics and different ways to support these particular learners. We also have the scorecard that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. So if you're looking for a little guidance, a little support, if you like taking online quizzes, it is a 16-question quiz and they're all yes, no. It's super easy. You can definitely do this, but it will give you those customized suggestions and give you a starting place. So you can find that at slkscorecard.com. Then above that level, we also have our curriculums. So if you are ready to just grab the materials and go, if you say, this sounds great, give me the stuff, then you can jump on over to hub.speechandlanguagekids.com. You'll be able to sign up for our subscription to the curriculum that gets you access to all of our goal packets, all of our curriculums, all of our events, all of our fun stuff. We have courses in there. We have our AI material generators, which will allow you to generate practice materials during your sessions based on whatever thing the child is interested in right there. Talk about hyperfocus, right? So all of that's included in the curriculum. You can grab a subscription to that, or keep an eye out for our workshops and conference, hopefully, that we'll be doing this year. We'll be putting information about those as we get closer to the time. So lots of different ways for you to join me on this journey. I would love to hear from you. If you have thoughts, if you have feedback, you can email me. You can hop into our discussion board in the curriculum and message me there. So many ways for you to get in touch with me. I'm just excited you're here. I hope you're excited to be here, and I hope we have an amazing year together. All right, bye for now, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow on the next episode.